That's interesting. I took an Oxford Said business course on it's like a 6-week course on AI. It's an excellent program through Oxford. Really enjoyed it. You know what I did is instead of deepfake, I called it synthetic media. And the reason I called it synthetic media is I hear what you're saying. I think like deepfake is like the dark web. It's so nefarious. It's like, but you could use synthetic media to be really interesting. I mean, you could have students learning from, Albert Einstein, and he's talking and interacting with them. But you're right. In healthcare, what really concerns me too, how much are the fraudsters really going to lean into this, which we already see with Hong Kong? How much more are fraudsters going to be good at gaming not only CMS, but payers, providers, patients with more documents, with more phone calls, with even getting and doing FaceTime? I'm really nervous in the fraud space. In fact, for listeners, we will have a fraud subject matter expert show up in the next few months that's going to talk to us about what are they concerned about in the AI space as well. It's very concerning.
Yeah, I mean it is, and you talk about, like, to me, the fact that you could set a persona of Albert Einstein and have it teach our kids. That's awesome. Like that's like an amazing
Right,
use case of AI.
right,
Right?
right.
But at the same time, with all of a sudden, if that you have someone say, "Hey, I'm going to create a persona of Adolf Hitler," which
Right.
by the way is absolutely possible, right? That's
Yes, it
becomes
is.
a problem, right? So I'm glad you're doing it. Look, cyber risks become more of a
Yep.
challenge. So all these cyber companies have to up their game, whoever they may be, and I know them. I know who they are, but I just want to call them out. But they all need to, do that. Like, to me, this onus falls on governments around the world. They have to figure out how to start regulating some of this, especially on the deepfake side. I'm not a big regulation guy, but this is something that's could just absolutely destroy, a lot of communities if it's not managed properly, right? We already saw. I mean, who knows what that $25 million impact is to that company? I didn't follow up on it, right? To that company in Hong Kong, right? I mean, what if
Right.
they're bankrupt now? Like, well, what if they have to lay off 50 people? Whatever. No, I have no idea, right? But my point
Right.
is,
Right.
it destroy that company. It could destroy that community. So that's just getting started, right? And so we'll see where it goes. So I'm glad you're gonna have somebody from fraud on there. Like, to me, there's got to be some more regulation around this space. I was invited to DC to talk about that, with the administration. So the good news is that they are taking it seriously. And one of the things I didn't realize is that the administration, all the alphabet agencies, have a ton of people on the AI case. But this deepfake stuff I put a lot of onus on Google, Meta, OpenAI, Amazon, eventually Apple, like all these major tech players, X, Grok, all these guys have to come together, put aside their differences, and really figure out, okay, what are we going to do here? Like, how can we watermark these things? How can we identify it? How can we really provide, like, NVIDIA's got to be part of this, Intel's got to be part of this, Qualcomm, all these guys have to be part of this thing and say, okay, we've got to come up with solutions, and maybe it can be done at the chip level, maybe it can be done at the OS level, whatever it might be, but how can we provide solutions to really identify something as being deep fake
Would you,
or synthetic?
when you think about that, yeah, I know that I believe it was Facebook or some other groups were trying to think of watermarks to put on some of these things. And it's again, that's great. And I support that. But for those that are using this for nefarious purposes, they're not going to go and do a watermark. So to your point, there has to be something more technologically savvy in order to determine what is this a generated image or generated video that they can figure out. Because like you said, I mean, a scammer is going to keep scamming. I mean, as long as they can get it. So it's just it's it's un, it's not comforting that so far some of our biggest IT players have not figured out a way in order to identify this type of
Well,
technology.
and I don't necessarily blame them for not figuring it out, because I mean, I think that they're still trying to figure out what to do, right? The good news here is
Okay,
that necessity is the mother of all invention. What I'm saying is that they're the ones who have to be responsible for it, right? Since they're
fair
providing
enough.
the solution, right? Microsoft, I didn't mention Microsoft earlier. Microsoft is a big player, right? They own 49% of ChatGPT, OpenAI. They've got Copilot now out in the market. So, so when you think about all that brain power, all these technological super geeks, it's they have to figure it out. Now, then, as I said, necessity is the mother of all invention. At some point, someone will figure this out. At some point, it'll be a solution. You know,
Yeah.
we will, as a society, figure something out. The question is by when, and in the meantime, how many people are getting impacted by it?
Yeah, yeah, it's scary. We also will have somebody on cybersecurity we've connected with to also talk to us about, what are these other threats? Because when you saw with Change Healthcare, what just happened, I mean, basically shut down so many providers and pharmacies just with that data breach. With AI being able to do even more damage at a bigger scale, cybersecurity just becomes, especially in healthcare, with data breaches that can release very protected health information that could destroy lives if put in the wrong hands. It just becomes that much more of a threat for a leader to have to focus on.
Yeah, 100%
Well,
agree.
let's switch gears here, because as the leaders are listening to this and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm terrified now. I've got to go take some Pepto. I've got to sit down, and I'm getting heartburn. What's going on?" So when you're thinking about a leader, and what I love in Chase Greatness, I love when leaders such as yourself give us experiences to say, "Hey, here's what went really well." But at the same time, you know what? Here's what didn't go very well, and here's why, and here's what I learned about it. And I love that you did that in Chase Greatness, especially with when you talked about your experience in China and trying to bring that American kind of sales business culture over there. It was like, this isn't working. So you learned a lesson to basically, as a leader, get out of the way. When it comes to AI and leaders who are looking at this, what are your recommendations for them to be involved and get out of the way with their teams? I mean, how would a leader approach that?
Well, that's a great question. So, first of all, is that this needs to be a top-down implementation. This has to come from the top. This is not going to be a bottoms-up. Hey, I don't know how to tweet. What's social media? Go get the intern. Teach me what to do. Oh boy, we should do something on Instagram or whatever. No, this needs to be a top-down strategy that the CEO and the board have to figure out and agree to. That gets implemented down into the organization. And I'll tell you, it's a strategy. It has to be a fabric of the overarching strategy of the organization. Now, if you're struggling with strategy, which many do, I'll tell you the best strategy module to think about is the Blue Ocean strategy. There's a book called The Blue Ocean Strategy. It is phenomenal. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there. There's slide shares out there. Go check
Hmm.
out Blue Ocean Strategy. I got certified in the Blue Ocean Strategy. It came out of INSEAD out of Europe, so competitor at Oxford. And so it's fantastic.
Wow.
It's a great book. Now, Blue Ocean is what they teach at Harvard. They teach at USC. They teach at a lot of these business schools. And so take that as, and if you don't want Blue Ocean, do whatever. Take any strategy module you want, but figure out a strategy and figure out how to implement that, first and foremost. So you have to have a strategy. That has to be top down. You have to be completely bought in. That's number one. Number two, then, is that if you've got gaps in your team from a technology perspective, go figure out how to fill those gaps. And go either bring somebody on board or bring on more technically savvy people, and then empower them and set aside budget to allow them to be successful with that. Now, and then number three is make sure you're investing like crazy in your data. Now, once you foundationally build those things, you've got strategy, you've got a vision on what you want it to be, you've got the right people involved, and then you've got control over your data. Then you can take a step back. Then you can allow them execute. But right now, you've got to be involved at the top. You've got to be involved. You've got to be involved in terms of saying, look, we got to figure out the strategy and lead it. Lead it. Talk to customers, see what they want. Talk to your customer base, see what they want. Talk to your salespeople, see what they're hearing from the community. Do your surveys, do all that fun stuff. Do everything you got to do to get that feedback about your industry and your customer base, whatever you need. But then build everything around it. But it starts with you at the top. Build the foundation of the house first. And then once you have it, step back and let people add the rooms on, and then be there to support them as needed. But you have to start with you at the top and then implement it down into the organization.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that leads me into another question. I'm pulling up Chasing Greatness right now. You had mentioned in here, I've got to find it. I've got the page marked, that there are 6 roles of the CEO. And I'm just going to just go through them real quick. So corporate strategy, we're talking about, organizational alignment, team and processes, board engagement, external stakeholders, and personal working norms. Now, let's introduce AI in this. And let's say 5 years down the road, would you change those roles of a CEO with AI? Would you tweak these? How would you adjust these in light of all the AI challenges we're having now and things that are in the future?
Yeah, I mean, for the lack of a better phrase, for if I'm going to boil it down to like two things, I would add be some sort of data transformation focused CEO, right? So how can you use, so new areas are going to be areas like digital transformation, data governance. We've been talking about data governance a lot. AI ethics are going to be really important. So those are the areas where I would, if I was going to add something, it would be around those kind of components to where people should think. And then how do you, then you have to start thinking about how you start shifting your culture towards embracing AI and its use in the organization. Because there's that initial, there's a fear, right? Of, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my job. And that's why
Mm,
we talked 20 minutes ago about, it's about augmenting intelligence, not about artificial intelligence. Sure, maybe you don't need to hire as many more people, but it doesn't mean you have to go start laying off a bunch of people either. If
yeah.
anything, if a department becomes more efficient and you have to quote unquote make a change in that department, you're gonna lay them off. Stick those people in an area of opportunity that, you know, if they're good people, stick them in an area for growth. So maybe, hey, maybe international is an opportunity. Like my company, we don't do a lot of stuff outside the US. And I had a conversation today with one of my business unit presidents, and we're saying, look, where's our growth going to come from in the next couple of years, right? And so as we deploy AI in the organization, like, well, we do this, then we can take those people and shift them to focus on AI on AI events internationally, or whatever, or how can we, you know, drive solutions in Mexico City or Toronto or London or wherever they might be. So you can shift people around into areas that need that extra attention and focus. But that's what I would focus on, like a digital transformation, data governance, and ethical AI ethical solution area that we've been talking about. That's all. But I guess if to summarize it, probably a real focus on the data, like the foundational data structure, because you're just not going to be successful with this world if you don't know your data. You just have to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And you talked about AI ethics. That's or ethics in general. So when a leader is looking at their mission statement, they're looking themselves as a company and really sitting back and saying, okay, you know, how does AI play into this? What does AI do to an ethical framework for a company? Does it destabilize it? Does it call it into question? Do folks need to sit back and rethink a new framework? I mean, how should someone approach AI ethics in light of their current ethical framework?
Well, I mean, you know, the cop out easy answer. It's a little early to really be talking about that, right? So
Okay.
it's still
Okay.
early. That's the cop out easy answer. The harder answer, I think, for people to really understand and get a handle on is that once you've got AI deployed in the organization, once you are putting it out to the customer base, it all boils down to how are you then taking that data that the AI is providing you, the information is providing you, because you're going to have access to all those things, right? Well, what are people's responses? How are they using it? Well, what are they using it for? You're going to have access to so many different unique things. I mean, you know, you think about healthcare, right? There's a, you know, in the next couple of years, in the next 12 months, you're going to see AI psychologists. You know, AI. I
Yeah.
can do it right
Yeah.
now. I can do it right now. By the way, I can download the mobile version of ChatGPT. I click on the little headphone icon of the mobile version of ChatGPT, and I can have a full two-way conversation with it, talking about, oh, I've
Yeah.
had this issue, I got that problem with a loved one, or I had this issue with my boss, or I got whatever it might be, or oh, I'm depressed, or whatever, right? And I don't have any of those things. I'm just saying as an example. And the chat
Sure.
GPT, you'll have a full document, you'll have a full conversation back and forth. But guess who has access to that information? Chat GPT, OpenAI. What are they doing with it? How are they going to deploy? Like, how are they using that to now train the algorithm, right? So you've got to have some real strong ethics around how you use this power that you've now gotten in terms of understanding people's human emotions, right? So, and that's up here for other people to kind of solve. But I'm at the front lines of, hey, this is how you log in and you just type in a prompt, right? I just
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
goal here is my goal right now with AI is there is 8 billion people on the planet. I just want to get people to just start, you know, if I can get whatever, a tenth of them or 1% of the population to just start, hey, open it up, just start playing with it. Hey, teach me how to bake a cake and show me an image of it on Dolly. Mission accomplished for me. I mean, but for me, the excitement becomes, and I'm working, for example, I'm working with a private university, one of the big private universities in Peru, where they're like, hey, can you come in and help us figure out a curriculum for offering a degree in AI and
Oh,
all that.
how awesome.
So,
Yeah.
and
How
I think
fun.
you're gonna start seeing more and more of that, right? And so to me, that's really exciting. So for me, I think it's just found, to me, it's all about building a strong foundation first, and all the things we talked about, are going to be important in building that strong foundation.
Now I'm probably retreading some ground that we've covered, but just as we're starting to wind down the conversation. So when you're thinking of where we've been, where we are now, talk about possibly where we're going, what are you very excited about for AI? I mean, what are the things that you see AI just making such a huge impact that it's like the iPhone, it's like the computer, it's like the calculator. It's just such a game changer. Where do you see it making the most impact that will be very noticeable in our communities and in our homes that AI has really established itself?
Well, first of all, we spent a lot of time talking about healthcare. I think the right AI solution in healthcare could be a game changer for the entire planet. Number one. Then number two is I think there's going to be such technological advancement that over time, like you have Siri and Alexa in your house, and I'm sure you're a fan of the Iron Man movies and the Avengers movies and all these things that like in the next 3 to 5 years, it's very likely that we could all have our own Jarvis in our house. Full
Wow,
two-way
yeah.
communication of our own Jarvis style solution in our house. That gets me excited. I think the marrying of AI and robotics is going to be something that's also that's going to be becoming down the road. I think custom learning where where teachers are no longer going to be teaching 1 to 30. It's going to look like they're
Yeah.
teaching 1 to 1. I think of I think of human longevity, and I get really excited. That's obviously a bit of healthcare side, but healthcare is treating the after the fact. To me, human longevity is how can you use AI to do it so you're not even so you don't get sick, or how can you potentially get to escape velocity and human longevity and those kinds of things. And so can you use AI, CRISPR technology and all these things to find cures for cancer and whatever the case might be, diabetes or Alzheimer's. So to me, that gets me excited. Real-time translation is also so very Star Trek-y world where where you can have you have your AirPods on and I'm talking to somebody speaking to me in German and it's automatically translating to me in my ear what they're saying. And why that's going to be possible is because think about it, in the next 5 to 7, the next few years, because of Moore's law, right? The world, you think about all the technology on laptops and smartphones, it's going to be 1 trillion times more powerful in the next few years. And a few years after that, it's 10 trillion times more powerful. And when that happens, the ability and speed to process information and data and that is going to be faster than the human brain. So that gets me excited, right? It's to me, I think we are the reason why Chase Greatness has a subtitle called Enlightened Leadership. To me, I think we're also, if that happens, if this happens the way I think it's going to happen, barring the deepfake challenges, which I think will get solved at some point, I think we are potentially going to enter a new age of enlightenment, where people are going to be allowed to think more creatively and really go out there and make. And I think we haven't even scratched the surface on new companies, new opportunities, new ideas, new solutions, new businesses. I mean, think about it. Every revolution, every industrial revolution, whether it was we'll just go back to recency bias. When the first internet browser came out, well, who the hell is going to buy a book online? That's stupid, right? So print magazines and newspapers going away. What? No, that's not going to happen, right? People want to read their stuff, whatever. Oh, I'm going to watch a Laker game online. I'm going to watch Messi play on Apple TV. What? There's going to be a place where TV is going to, regular broadcast TV is going to go eventually be minimized and it's going to be replaced by a Netflix. Are you kidding me? What? So if you just think about mobile phones, I mean, you know what? You're going to have a phone that's going to talk to you and live with you, and you're going to be addicted to your phone, and right? It's like okay, like here, right now, I got a notice saying that Tampa Bay Rays are beating the Angels 2-0, like while we were talking.
Okay, well that's good news. All right,
but no, I mean I'm an Angel fan, so I like Angels and Dodgers.
I live in Tampa Bay, and that's funny.
Yeah, so but anyways, but we're talking. I got notices from Starbucks. I got a buddy of mine texting me. I got hey, it's someone's birthday. But anyways, the point of it is that every revolution has led to new organizations. Uber, Airbnbs, these stuff didn't exist. Etsy's of the world, Fiverr, right? People's ability to do side hustles now, that stuff didn't exist 5, 7, 8 years ago, right? So who knows what new solutions AI is going to enable. So even if there is some job loss, I'm not super concerned because there's going to be thousands of new opportunities, thousands of new companies coming up that will take advantage of this. just don't whitewash your solution. Just don't AI whitewash your solution, because you'll be found out and you'll be screwed.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And in healthcare where I work in now, to your point, there's a lot of snake oil and fog and mirrors out there right now. People want the AI stamp, like you were saying, and when you question them, well, what's going on? What are you doing? Oh, we do some data analysis. And you're like, so you don't do AI at all, doing data analysis. So that's not AI, So it's interesting that folks are really trying to squeeze AI in what they do. And it's like, well, you really don't do that. And that's okay. It's okay to say that, look, the group that I work with predominantly is, look, we're augmenting our decisions. We're not replacing, we're augmenting our decisions. And I think that has to be the really the continued call. Folks just need to understand that. Well, in our last few minutes here, I want to give and I want to give you the floor. If you were to speak to leaders directly that are still struggling with this, or folks that are just tuning in out of curiosity, maybe they've read your books or they're going to go get your books after this, what would you want them to take away from AI and really, just your general philosophy? How would you approach that?
So, quite honestly, Tom, I don't know if I'd say anything different than what I've already said. So
Sure.
just put your toe in the water. Just be curious with the tool. Just start using it. Use it for your
Yeah.
personal use. Use it to plan a family vacation. And by the way, even though it's updated through April of last year, the opportunity is the fact that it is now connected to the Bing. ChatGPT is connected to the Bing search engine,
Yeah.
so you can use it to plan your family vacation. You can use it to figure out how to go play the guitar. You can use it to figure out I'm going to go train or to lose weight or do whatever you want to go do. Start using it to do comparisons. Start using the advanced tools. Start using the GPT store. Just put your toe in the water. Just take that first step. Don't boil the ocean. Like, this is not that scary. If you just
Hmm.
start, you just put your toe in the water. That's the most important thing I could do, which is you've got to be curious, not judgmental. I steal that line from the Ted Lasso show, right? Which he talked about being curious and not judgmental. And that's what this
Yeah.
is. Just be curious. Let your curiosity run wild. Let your imagination run wild. You know, you use it to help you write that book you've always wanted to write. Now, I didn't use AI to write the books, but do that. You use AI to help you maybe come up with an idea that you haven't thought about, right? You use that, use AI to maybe to give it a persona to maybe help you with understanding your teen daughter, your teen son, or whatever the case might be, right? Just start putting your toe in the water. Just start using it, and you're going to be fine. And you'll be great. And if you struggle with it, fine. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Talk to me or whatever. Send me a message on Instagram. Whatever. I'm sure you'll put my contact information in the show notes.
We
Reach
will.
out to me. I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to help the organization, and we'll go from there. But just start using it and don't be afraid. That I cannot stress that enough. Just don't be afraid of this stuff. Embrace it. Don't be like our parents who were really afraid. I'm 56 now, who are afraid of the browser when it first came out. What? What?
Sure. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So like if you think about it, right? If you were to tell somebody in the 1940s that there was going to be the smartphone thing, they thought you were crazy and stupid, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so just technology advances, the world's going to advance. You know, you're going to one day sit in a self-driving taxi. It's just the way it's going to be. So you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll live. Your company will be fine. Your family will be fine. Your friends will be fine. Just be curious and go figure out how you're going to change the world with this stuff.
Well, that will, like your book said to the subtitle, it will move you towards enlightenment. Just go ahead and embrace it. I love it. I love it. Well, I think that wraps it up here. This was a fantastic conversation. Just love having your insights on this. Really, really appreciate it. So again, folks, Rajiv Kapoor, we've got two books that he's done, AI Made Simple, Chase Greatness. Go and read them. They're excellent books, excellent resources for just AI in general. Chase Greatness just for leadership, but you obviously can apply those to your AI challenges. So really appreciate you being here. Again, another show from AI Sentinel. Please follow us on LinkedIn. As Rajiv said, we'll put the contact information out there. Reach out to us if you've got a topic or you've got a question. We're happy to help. But again, just really trying to bring forth this issue that AI, it's not scary, it's helpful. How are we using this in healthcare? How are we using this in data governance? And that's really what we're trying to focus on here. So Rajiv, thank you so much for the opportunity and taking the time with us today.
Tom, it's my pleasure. I really appreciate it, and I'm happy to be back on anytime you need.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much and appreciate it. Take care, sir.